If you've ever believed in second chances, stay with this one till the end, because what happened next changed 3 lives forever. And if it touches your heart even a little, don't forget to like this video and subscribe, because stories like this deserve to be remembered. It started on a rainy Friday evening. The city lights blurred through the cafe window as Lena, a young CEO known for her cold composure, sat at a table for 2, alone. Her assistant had insisted she try something new. You need balance in life, not just board meetings, they'd said. So here she was, on her first blind date in years, dressed in quiet elegance, a soft blue dress that matched her eyes, a cup of untouched coffee cooling before her. Minutes turned into nearly an hour. People whispered. The waiter asked twice if she'd like to cancel. She forced a polite smile. Just a few more minutes. Inside, she was breaking. It wasn't about the date, it was the weight of loneliness. Years of building an empire had cost her every personal connection. She had everything, and no one to share it with. Just when she was about to gather her purse and leave, the cafe door burst open with a tiny voice shouting, "Wait. My daddy's sorry he's late." Every eye turned toward the little girl, no older than 6, soaked from the rain, clutching a flower half wilted but clearly picked with love. Behind her stumbled a man, equally drenched, trying to catch his breath. "Maya," he gasped. "You can't just run in like." He froze when his eyes met Lena's. He wasn't what she expected. Not the polished businessman she imagined. His jacket was worn, shoes muddy, hair slightly messy. But his eyes, they were warm, alive, the kind that spoke of storms weathered and promises kept. I'm so sorry," he said, catching his breath. "I was dropping Maya off at my sister's when the rain hit. Then she decided she had to bring this flower for you. I didn't want to show up like this, but she insisted." The little girl looked up proudly. "Because you're pretty. Daddy said so." The cafe erupted with soft laughter, and for the first time that evening, Lena smiled. Not the polite, practiced kind, but a real one. "Thank you, Maya," she said gently, accepting the soggy flower as if it were made of gold. They sat down, and what was supposed to be a blind date turned into something far more human. He introduced himself as Ethan Cole, a mechanic who owned a small auto shop nearby. He hadn't dated in years since losing his wife in an accident. The blind date wasn't even his idea. His sister had secretly signed him up, believing he needed to open his heart again. Lena found herself drawn to his humility. Every word he spoke carried honesty, not performance. He didn't care who she was, didn't try to impress. He talked about fixing engines, raising Maya, and trying to make ends meet. And when he spoke of his late wife, his voice broke slightly, but he didn't hide it. Hours passed without them realizing. The cafe closed around them, lights dimmed, but their conversation only deepened. Lena found herself laughing, something she hadn't done in months. Maya, curled beside her father, eventually fell asleep in his arms. It was a sight Lena couldn't look away from, the quiet strength of a man holding his world so gently. The rain outside turned to mist as they finally stepped out. "I'm sorry I ruined the fancy part of your evening," Ethan said with an awkward smile. She shook her head. "You didn't ruin it. You reminded me what real looks like." They shared a quiet goodbye, not expecting to meet again. But fate had other plans. 2 weeks later, Lena's car broke down near the edge of town. Guess whose auto shop it rolled into? Ethan's. The moment he saw her, both froze, then laughed at the coincidence, or maybe destiny. As he worked under the hood, she watched him with admiration. Not for his hands or his charm, but for his patience, with her, with life, with the world. She offered to pay triple. He refused. "You already paid," with a smile, he said softly. From that day, their paths crossed again and again. Coffee deliveries for his shop, Maya's school projects needing help, and weekend picnics that started, for the kids' sake, but became something more. Slowly, gently, Lena let her guard fall. She wasn't the CEO anymore around them. She was just Lena. But every story faces its test. When the media discovered her relationship with a mechanic, they attacked it mercilessly. CEO's fairy tale romance or PR stunt. The headlines read. Board members whispered that her image was at risk. They wanted her to issue a statement distancing herself from Ethan. She looked at the contract they wanted her to sign and tore it in half. If love costs reputation, then maybe reputation was never worth that much, she said quietly, and walked away from the meeting that had once defined her life. The next day, Ethan showed up at her office with Maya holding a lunchbox. "Daddy said you missed lunch again," the little girl chirped. Lena hugged her tight, tears in her eyes. "Not today, sweetheart." Months later, at that same cafe where it all began, Ethan dropped to one knee, not with a diamond, but with the same wilted flower, carefully pressed and framed. "For the woman who waited when she didn't have to," he said. And Lena whispered, "For the man who showed me that love doesn't arrive on time, it arrives when your heart's ready." As they kissed under the warm glow of cafe lights, Maya cheered, "Now I have a mommy." If this story touched you, remember, love doesn't care about titles, status, or timing. It only asks for courage. So, if you believe in love that finds its way when it's meant to, tap that like button, share this story, and subscribe for more heart-touching tales. Because somewhere out there, your late arrival might just be worth the wait.